Whoa boy, it's everyone's favorite time of the year again. What, Christmas? No, it's that time of the year when Genshin wraps up a main Archon quest and we're left twiddling our thumbs with nothing to do. Again, okay, look, I love sneaking past dogs as much as the next guy, but I need something a little more substantial. As we all know, every great live service RPG rides or dies not on its main story or its gameplay, but on its transmogs and its housing systems. And hey, Genshin has at least one of those. That's right, this is a Teapot video. Now, I can already hear the non-Teapot Andy's clicking away, but hey, before you do, hear me out. The Teapot is the only game mode in Genshin right now that's getting improvement after improvement and so much additional content with every single patch. Like, man, that new timer we got for obstacle courses, genuinely such a cool new addition to the Teapot. I'd argue that the Teapot is one of the only aspects of Genshin that has repeatedly and consistently taken community feedback and then actually implemented it in really cool ways. As of me making this video, we're at 358 furnishings right now. So honestly, between that and all the cool new techniques the community continually develops, it's never been a better time to get hooked on making Teapot builds. But Berger, I hear you type with your soft, tender little fingies. Yummy little fingies. Isn't the Teapot just a glorified dollhouse with no substantial gameplay outside of a couple primos and some non-canon flirty dialogue, held back by wonky hitboxes and an absurdly small load limit? Yes. So, now that that's resolved, let's get to the real problem. Outside of load limit inconveniences, the number one problem I've heard from folks who don't want to bother with the Teapot is the insane amount of choices. Those 358 furnishings make it really hard to know where to start and what kind of stuff to build. To remedy this, I've devised a challenge, a set of limitations to help inspire and push people to make a real proper build, and a way to push veterans outside their comfort zones by trying out new ideas. These sets of limitations comes in group of 4, so if you're a nerd with a 4-sided dice, feel free to get it out or just use an online number generator. And let me break down how this works. The first group of limits is selecting your base theme. Right now we have Mondstadt, Liyue, Inazuma, and Hilichurl themes to pick from. Now how you interpret this limitation is totally up to you. If you want to take my interpretation, which is just limiting yourself to the buildings within the building tab, then by all means go for it. So if you get Mondstadt, then you can only use Mondstadt buildings. You can't use the Liyue or the Inazuma buildings, but you can use other furnishings from the other regions, like Inazuma Torii Gates or Liyue Merchant Carts. If you want to take it a step further and be very orthodox about it, where if you get the Mondstadt theme, you can only use buildings and other ornaments from Mondstadt itself, then hey, by all means, go for it. Me personally, I think limiting yourself to just the buildings is more than enough. Next up, we have the real meat and potatoes, the location prompts. Now, I've currently come up with 12 of these, but believe me, there's definitely a lot more room for expanding on these options and giving even more ideas. For the time being though, I think 12 is more than enough for us to get started with. So first off, we have a bazaar or like a marketplace setting. We have residential, we have an onsen, we have a camp, so hey, if you've been a lazy bum and you haven't gone to Chinsei Village to buy up all those camping blueprints, yeah, hey, time to waste like 150k mora. Come on now, get to it. Chop chop. We have cave, we have a garden, we have an obstacle course, again, great time for us to finally be using that new timer. We have a farm, so hey, maybe time to start stocking up on some animals from that traveling Teapot buddy. We have a hideout, which is probably one of the most open to interpretation. Basically, the way that I see it is hiding a build within a build, or hiding it in some like very hard to access place, like maybe making a treehouse, or maybe making a secret base that's out of plain view. We have a palace, an arena, and a temple/shrine. On their own, they're all relatively simple, but I would recommend combining up to 3 of these. Any more, and you'll probably start to lose sight of what you can do with like current load limit stuff. If you want to just start with 1 and then work your way up to 3, if you want to just start with 2, by all means, look, I ain't no tyrant, okay? You do you. I ain't gonna judge, but I think combining 3 of these ideas, using RNG to choose these, is definitely the way to go. Next up, we have the seasons, which is basically a translation of the color theme. So we have spring, summer, autumn, winter. Spring would be a lot of the pinks and purples that Inazuma brought to the table. Summer, all of the green boys. Autumn, of course, the reds, oranges, yellows. And winter is the challenge mode here. Winter, we really only have 1 shrub right now. It's that one brown shrub. And that's about it. We don't have much to work with. So if you get winter, at least as of me making this video, good luck. Last two sets are very straightforward. It's just picking out our Teapot realm and then the subregion within that Teapot. So of course we have Floating Abode, we have Emerald Peak, we have Cool Isle, and we have Silken Courtyard. Each one of them have 4 different subregions. So we have subregion number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. And that wraps it up for the base challenge. If you're a newcomer to the Teapot, I definitely recommend you to just cut off here, roll your dice, pick from these options, and then get started. If you have a really cool build idea and you actually do use this, please, for the love of God, at me on Twitter, share screenshots or even video if you have a YouTube channel, and show me what you cook up. I really love to see other people's Teapot builds. It's one of the most fun things in the game, at least for me. So indulge me, okay? Just like jerk your gherkin and shoot your goo, my dude. But if you're a veteran and you're trying to use this as a way to really push yourself and see what you can do within some really tight constraints, this next set of optional challenges is for you. So the first set is the amount of the subregion you have to fill in with other furnishings. So we have 100%, 75%, 50%, and 25%. Now, if you want an easy time, what you're gonna wanna hope you get is either 75 or 50%, which basically any subregion is like kind of what everybody does anyway. They're really not gonna be that bad. 100% and 25% are both gonna be nasty, kind of depending on which subregion you get. Like, for example, if you get 100% and you're on Floating Abode's 3rd subregion, oh my god, what a nightmare. That place is huge. Or if you're on any of Cool Isle's beaches, there is so much space that it's honestly gonna be a nightmare to try to fill in. Comparatively, 25% for those big subregions actually isn't too bad. That's probably what you would have been doing anyway. But if you flip it around, and now we talk about the small subregions, right? If you're on Floating Abode subregion number 2 and you get 25%, all of a sudden you have no real estate to work with. And now all of a sudden you really have to condense things down and really stack vertically in order to make something actually cool. This next set though are pretty definitively difficult, no matter what you get. First up we have no trees. I think everybody forgets just how reliant we become on trees to help fill in space and give a lot of color to builds without really using up that much load. And not having them suddenly makes a lot of things seem very naked by comparison's sake. Similarly, the next one we have is no shrubs or rocks, or no plants or rocks is maybe the word I should have used. Just like the trees, I think we use the rocks and the plants to really fill in a lot of space and to help things not seem so empty. Man, especially if we build on landforms where they're all smooth and naked, not having shrubs or rocks to fill in that space is, ooh, little yike-a-rooney. Next up, we have no landforms, which is brutal, okay? No landform clipping, no verticality, and no floating. 3 things that we use a ton for more advanced Teapot builds. And last but not least, the worst one of them all in my opinion, no clipping. Yeah. The beauty, but also the curse of clipping in Genshin's Teapot is that once you learn how to do it, you literally cannot make Teapot builds without it. I swear, man, once I learned how to do clipping, it's had this inexorable chokehold on me, and it will not let go. So between this one and the landform one, it's basically challenging you to go back to your day one mindset of not clipping it, not really using landforms that much, and still trying to make something cool and compelling out of it. If you roll these, hey man, good luck. And last but not least, I see this being very relevant for when we do maybe Teapot competitions or whatnot, maybe a little Twitch.television action, is a time limit. I started at 15 minutes and then worked in intervals of 2. So we have 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, and 2 hours. Obviously 15 minutes is the worst of them all. Definitely I think the best one for like a, I don't know, a Master Chef or a Chopped like competition. But even 2 hours, man, especially if you are clipping and floating and sinking, that stuff takes up a ton of time. So 2 hours, it can be brutal. But there you have it. Now, obviously these are all related to outdoor builds. I do have another variation that I'd like to do for indoor builds. I'm basically just trying to cook up enough location prompts for indoor settings because, I mean, let's face it, you can just do way more with outdoor furnishing builds than you can with indoor ones. So for the time being, that's it for the limitations. But before I end things off, I want to go through and I want to roll on my own. Whatever I get from this, mark my words, I'm gonna make it into my very next Teapot Timelapse video. All right, so let me grab my dice real quick. I am a goddamn nerd. So that is a 4. Hilichurl. Okay, so base theme gonna be here. It's been a while since I've used Hilichurl stuff. Interesting. All right. Oh, you know what? Okay, so for these location prompts, the way that I have this laid out is that it's 3 lines of 4, and I could just use, again, like an online number generator and just designate it 1 through 12 and roll that way. But I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna roll my 4-sided dice for each one of these lines and pick 1 from each line and then combine those. Let's see. 3, an onsen. All right. Onsen combined with another 3. So an onsen obstacle course combined with, with a 4. So an onsen obstacle course temple shrine. Okay, season. Another 3. I'm a 3 Andy tonight, good lord. Okay, so an autumn-themed Hilichurl onsen. Yeah, that kind of works out. Hilichurl stuff already is like pretty red. What is my realm gonna be? A 1. Okay, floating abode. I don't have to worry about day-night cycles. It's like perpetually in a sunset. Cool. See, my subregion is gonna be number 2, which was one of the ones I used for an example. Yeah, it's the really small one. Huh, okay. Now, you know what? I'm not gonna do all of the challenge ones yet. I'm gonna go a little easy on myself because I'm lame like that. But I will do the first one. I'm gonna see how much of the region do I have to fill in. That is a 2, 75%. Okay. So to recap, that is a Hilichurlian obstacle course temple shrine set in autumn on the floating abode in subregion number 2, filled at 75%. I think I can make this happen. Yeah, I feel pretty good about this. Okay, so if I time this right, this video will come out at the same time that new time lapse comes out. And either way, hey, if you made it this far, thanks a ton for watching. Again, I implore you, if you want to try this out, I promise you it'll do a lot to inject some new life into your teapot. Please, for the love of God, if you do use it, share your screenshots. At me on Twitter. I would love to see them. On Twitter, I'm also going to have all these challenge panels laid out, so that way you don't have to skip around on timestamps and stuff to see them all laid out. You can just have one place to see them all at once. If you found this video at all helpful or interesting, and if you finally get into the teapot because of it, hitting the video with a like and even subscribing to the channel is the best and easiest way to help me out. And either way, thanks again for watching. See you for the time lapse. How the hell am I going to make an onsen obstacle course? Oh, God. Oh, no.